We plant intentions on the new moon and we kind of start developing a new version of ourselves. And then the full moon is the time to like go out and show that version to the world. It's a time to integrate that new energy into your being.
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go. Okay.
Welcome
to
the Almost 30 podcast. Should have heard our conversations right before this.
It's so funny when
That's where all the juice
when
was.
Krista and I get together, it's like we catch up right before we record. So we're running all day, talking about the podcast all day, and then we get like a slice of time to catch up on everything. Food, fun, travel, boys, love.
Everything
and
that
shit.
makes us live, laugh, and love. Talking
and
about
really pissed off.
Literally. Me and Justin are going to Japan. We were going to Japan in May, and we now have to reschedule our trip because he has a work conference. So obviously I'm not taking it lightly, and I'm pissed off. So, anything that like a cool girl would do, I'm not doing.
You're like, I'm cool 99.9% of the time.
Literally, it was crazy though. Like he was like, I have this work conference. And I flipped. I was like, if I'm doing something, I'm doing something, period, the end. Yeah. No one is stopping me from doing what I'm doing. If you tell me I have a work conference, I'm sorry, I'm not going because I'm doing this thing already. Yeah. And I think boys think a little differently. You know what I mean? They're like, they're
building their kingdom.
Yeah, building their kingdom. Good John Wineland reference. If you haven't listened, go back to the John Wineland episode. You can learn about why boys go to work conferences over Japan with their girlfriend. That'll give you a little bit of insight. Yeah, so that's what's going on with me, and that's what we were just talking about. Love you, Justice. Now he wants to, work hard for our family.
I know.
Whatever.
I know. It's hard.
YOLO.
It's hard when you're like so like you plan something and you're excited about it and like the littlest thing. I know.
It's like what? But actually it's kind of crazy. So I called to reschedule to like get an idea of how much the flight change would be. And on China Eastern, which is the flight we're taking from LA to Japan, our flight was $400 each, which is crazy. So we're looking for a flight that cheap, but it's kind of hard to find. But the flight change fee is $80 only.
Really?
$80 per person. So $160 total to change. $80 each is crazy.
It's nothing.
Isn't that nothing?
I thought it was like a few hundred.
No,
at least.
honestly, like American domestic is $200.
Damn.
Delta domestic is $200. Southwest is free to change. But like, I was like, what? So there's like some crazy things with like international flights that like,
wow,
are like crazy. I don't know, just like crazy to know.
So interesting. I'm learning that now as I'm trying to book my flight back from
Morocco. Have you booked it yet?
So this episode is coming out when I'm in Morocco.
Lindsay's on a camel.
I'm on a camel.
They have camel rides and it makes me sad. I've done it and it's fun, but like...
It's like horses.
Well, it's crazy the way they get down on the ground.
Is it so hard for them to get up?
Fucking the craziest thing that's ever happened. So they're double jointed. So they're on their like front knees and then they kind of go down onto their knees. So it's kind of like, it literally feels like the leg's breaking. It's like, and then they're on their knees and then you can get off and on. It's crazy.
I'll say sorry.
They're not friendly either at all.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't be if someone was on my fucking back all day.
Yeah. But I'm going to do it anyway, probably.
Oh yeah, you got to. Do it for the gram.
Do it for the gram. Yeah, I haven't.
But don't do like riding elephants and stuff. That shit's fucked up.
That is fucked. Well, I don't get how that's still happening.
I know. Well, you know why? Because a lot of times they like lie to people.
And they're like, they're saving the elephants by
and they
riding
say it's
them.
like sanctuaries and stuff, or so you just have to be really careful with any of that kind of stuff. I mean, go on vacation with me. I'll make your vacation not fun. My sister, when we were in Bali, was like, first we're going to ride elephants and then we're going to like feed monkeys.
I'm like, going to go to the Sea World in Bali.
Honestly, I'm like,
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. We finally found
this is
our astrologer queen.
This one's a home fucking run. Get ready for this lady to pop up on every goddamn podcast that you've ever listened to.
I know.
In your whole life.
We're going to call it.
Calling it. Sorry. Calling it. She is a fucking home run.
Yeah, I honestly don't think she was born on this planet, and I mean that in the nicest way.
Yeah, man. She knows everything.
She is like...
She's cool.
One with what is going on in the universe. Like,
yes.
Galaxies.
In a grounded way.
She's so cool. She came over to our studio and should we like tell people?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I'm like I guess
her,
tell her
she, ha, ho. So yes, spirit daughter, Jill Wintersteen. If you follow her, you should follow her on Instagram. Jill founded Spirit Daughters. She has 20 plus years of yoga and astrology study. She began
at Johns Hopkins.
At Johns Hopkins, her traditional path, studying neuroscience.
Yeah.
Which like makes sense, consciousness.
Yeah.
But she moved to Venice to study Chinese medicine. We'll talk about that transition. That's a big part of our conversation. And her brand started she started selling Dreamcatchers. Mm-hmm. A woman that she met in Bali made these Dreamcatchers, and she just thought, everyone should have these. It was so special to her. So
she wanted to share those with the world. So she sells Dreamcatchers on her site from a magical woman in Bali. And then she also, as Lindsay was saying, is an expert in astrology and moon cycles and everything that has to do with that sort of realm. So with the cosmos. So during this conversation, we talk about your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, what those mean, why they're important. We talk about Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde. We talk about the importance of the moon cycles. We talk a lot about like space. It's kind of just, we go everywhere. But really, if there's anything that you want to know about astrology, this is like the perfect place to start. I was so happy with, sort of how the flow of this conversation went and how Jill was able to answer every single question we have in such a grounded way.
Yeah, and she has her own workbooks, which you can get every month, according to the moon cycle.
Yes,
which are really, really cool. You can go onto our website, spiritdaughter.com.
They're $5.
They're literally $5.
I just got mine. I was working through it. It's got so much good information.
Right?
It's crazy. She puts that out every month.
I know. It's a lot of work, but she's so committed, so nice, and we're just so excited to share her with you. So join our secret Facebook group so we can chat about this one. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It helps us a lot.
So much. And connect with Jill at Spirit Daughter on Instagram. And then in the secret Facebook group, we've been talking about this kind of stuff forever. So come join, have conversations with us. We will let you in if you request. Love you.
This episode is brought to you by
Thrive Market. Lindsay and I are lovers of Thrive Market, and we were begging them to work with us and be our sponsors for the podcast so that we could share Thrive Market with you. So Thrive Market is a revolutionary online marketplace on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable. I fell in love with Thrive when I heard the CEO of Thrive Market talking on Rich Roll's podcast about his desire to make healthy eating affordable for everyone. So that's something that we believe in so much. So Thrive Market is like a grocery store that delivers everything healthy, everything good straight to your door. Some things that I'd love to get: Primal Kitchen, coconut aminos, vitamins, everything I could ever want, especially their products that are Thrive Market are super cheap. I'll get on Thrive Market. So we want you to go to thrivemarket.com and get 25% off your first order. That's 25% off your first order and a free 30-day trial. And go to thrivemarket.com/almost30. It's thrivemarket.com/almost30. So keep in mind that Thrive Market's prices are already 50% off. So now you get an extra 25% off your first order and a free 30-day trial. So thrivemarket.com/almost30. Click Get Started and you can see all of our favorites that Lindsay and I always have in our pantry.
This episode is also brought to you by Unbound.
Springtime, babies. What are we doing for it?
We're getting naked and making sure we're in The utmost pleasure zone.
Yeah, we're getting our pleasure on. And you guys know that we love Unbound. We interviewed their CEO, Polly Rodriguez, a few months back, and just were in awe of what she's done and been able to build a company for sexual wellness for women.
And it's so exciting because Unbound has released their own crush-worthy collection of goods. They are so freaking cute.
Yeah, the Babe Pack. So Unbound, being in the biz, they know what women want. They know what products are going to help women and their partners, men or women, in the bedroom. So they have some amazing things in the Babe Pack, like Squish, which is a vibrator that has a bunch of different speeds, is really discreet, and the packaging and branding for Unbabe is really just
Unbound,
on point.
Yes, I know.
Unbabe, did I say that?
I love that you said that because the website is unboundbabes.com.
That's what it is. Yeah.
No. I actually just got the bean. It's like so cute. It's so cute. I use it myself. I haven't introduced it in the bedroom, but it's this mighty little palm-sized vibe, and it's ideally suited for both targeted and broad pleasure.
I love
so
that.
Really play with it. So yeah, you guys have to check it out. Unboundbabes.com. Use our code almost30 for 20% off.
Yo, that's crazy.
Stock up on the lube.
On the lube.
You never want to be caught. You never want to be caught without lube. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Every time you run out of lube, you're going to get dry. Just it's
get it. Experiment with
Polly Rodriguez law.
Yes.
I don't know. So try it out. Almost 30 is the code for 20% off at unboundbabes.com. We want you to find pleasure with yourself, with your partner. Just mix it up.
Yep.
Give yourself that opportunity to make things even more fun.
Yeah. Enjoy. Thank us later.
I like just right behind a closed wall.
That's amazing.
We're recording, by the way. We just kind of jump in because we'll do a pre-recorded intro. But yeah, I saw that you have a place in, and you can adjust it, like kind of make it smaller.
There we go.
If you need to.
Go, you little peanut.
Does it work?
You're good.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Looks great.
Were you in Big Bear? Or where were you?
Mammoth Mountain.
Mammoth. Okay.
Yeah, we
so
have
beautiful.
a place
I was
up there
watching
too.
your stories.
What do you do?
So we kind of live
A dream.
a dream at two places.
So cool.
We're back and forth, and sometimes I just tell people like I don't live in LA because like I always have to plan stuff.
Yeah.
So because we're like always in between Mammoth and Los Angeles.
And I'm so thankful you came today.
Yeah, thank you.
Drove out. Yeah. I was like so happy when you emailed. Because I was assuming, I was like, I think she's in LA, but yeah, I didn't exactly have a pinpoint of where you were.
It's kind of cool to like not
Nobody
know
is.
where you are.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think takes the
That's so
pressure
cool.
off. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, another, actually Jill from Goddess Provisions. And we like the first thing she asked me was like, are you a nomad?
Yes. And you're like, maybe.
You're like, if
And
it
I
gets
was
me out of
like-
responsibilities, yes.
I was like,
Yes, I am.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what's so cool about social media now and having like an online presence is that you can almost be anywhere. And like people might assume you're one place and you're not. But I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. And I do the Astro Post, like the talks like every other day or something like that. And so like people can actually see where I am. And sometimes we go on like huge travel spurts. My fiance is a software engineer, so he literally can work from anywhere. And then I can work from anywhere. So, you know, we were like in Europe for a while and we're always doing like sailing adventures and all kinds of stuff. And like, so people will be like, where are you? Like,
Yeah.
like, where's Jill today?
My boyfriend's a software engineer too.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
It's a good balance.
It's a really nice balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
No idea what you're
awesome.
doing. You don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
Is he
I know.
into
Here
what
we
you
are.
do? Like, how is
he's
that?
totally
Sure.
into what
Yeah.
I
Oh, cool.
do. Yeah, he's like a million like times supportive. He actually edits all the books.
Oh,
So
love that.
Yeah, he edits it mostly for content.
The books are beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
they
you.
are.
They're
Who does the
Thank
graphics?
you.
Do you?
I design it, and then I have an illustrator, Rebecca Reitz, who's in Colorado, and she does like the cover art and then a couple of the inside illustrations. And I do the actual design and then the photography as well. So
It's so
Yeah, it's beautiful.
stunning.
thank you.
And I love that it's so consistent. It's something I think I know a bunch of our people in our community use it and have bought it, but something so consistent like that, it's very like comforting. I don't know why, you know?
Yeah.
To have something to turn to explain kind of what's going on. And
oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
how did you, can you talk to us about, you know, where this all started?
How'd you become spirit daughter?
Tell us, girl.
Tell us about the journey to becoming spirit daughter.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a glass of wine?
Yeah, literally.
I do.
So I was actually a yoga teacher in Los Angeles. I had a private practice. I did mostly injury rehab. I have a background in psychology and neuroscience, and I started studying astrology when I was probably about 16. So quite a bit ago. And I was like using all that stuff, like just weaving it in. I studied Chinese medicine, so it was all kind of like woven into everything I did anyway. And then I started doing these new moon circle. I actually started doing them privately with my roommate at the time, Katie from Moon Body Soul. I don't know if you guys know her. But so she was like living with me, and she like walked in one day. She's like the sweetest soul. And she was just like, do you have like anything I can do on the moon?
No.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I do actually. And so we started kind of like privately doing like just her and I with our crystals and our dogs. And then, and at the same time, I was thinking of how to like shift my life out of teaching yoga, because I was teaching, 20 classes a week or something, running around LA. I was really tired. And I mean, I was thriving, but it was one of those things where I was like, this is not sustainable. And a lot of my clients were like business guys, and they were just like, this isn't sustainable. And they like taught me about like scalability and like a scalable business.
Wow.
And, like all this like really cool like business info that I would have had to go to like get an MBA to learn. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to like open myself up to the universe and just be like, what can be my next business? I want something that like is healing. I can give back to the world. I want to stay true to myself, but like I also don't want to deplete myself anymore. I don't want to have to be the limiting factor, like my time, because that's the thing. In like a business like yoga, it's like your time is your limiting factor. You're it, you know? And so I started traveling a lot, and I ended up in Bali. And I found these amazing Dreamcatchers that I totally fell in love with. And so I figured out how to bring them back. And I met the woman who made them. She was like the sweetest soul. And I was just like, okay, these are awesome. Like people in LA are going to love these. It's going to change this woman's life. It's going to change my life. Like, let's do this, you know? And so I brought them back, and I launched Spirit Daughter with the Dreamcatchers. And then, but alongside of it, I was doing these new moon circles with Katie, and we started taking them out into the public. And at that time, like I had not put everything together. And this is just kind of what I find anyway, when you like open yourself up to something like this, like the pieces kind of fall in different ways and at different angles. And so we started doing these new moon circles publicly in LA, and they were a huge hit. And it was almost like a training lab for me. And I'm actually a trained researcher. So that's what I did in psychology. I was a research scientist. And so I felt like the new moon circles became like this amazing spiritual lab of sorts, where I was like getting feedback from people about like what they wanted, what their real education in astrology was. Because, you know, we'd theme them like new moon and Leo circle. And it's like, how much do people really know about Leo? How much do they know about what it means to have the moon in Leo? So I started sort of almost gathering data in a way. Yeah. And from that, I was like, okay, I've got it, you know? And I was actually up in our place in Mammoth, and I was thinking about the next product, because the Dreamcatchers were great, but I was like, okay, like pillows. I actually planned a trip to Byron Bay to like scout out pillows and fabrics, because I was like seeing all this stuff on Instagram about like all this amazing homeware in Byron Bay. So I like planned a trip to Byron Bay and then go back to Bali. And I was like, I'm open for my next project, you know, / product. And I sat there meditating one morning in Mammoth, and I just was like, it's a new moon book. Like the answer's been in front of me the entire time, you know? Totally. And I had all this sort of research on like where, because I think that's one of the hardest things with astrologers is to figure out like where people are, like how much knowledge do they have. And I find like a lot of people sort of like glaze over when you start going into the really advanced astrology, like the moon is trining Saturn right now and it's squaring Pluto. And so I felt like I had a really good hold on what the audience wanted. And that's how the book was born.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I have so many questions about everything. Where'd you meet your husband then?
We met here in Santa Monica. I was actually teaching yoga for a company called Event Farm that runs events where we started holding our first new moon circles. We're at Event Farm.
That used to be on Maine.
On Maine, and
it was right by the Now.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it is the Now. Not sure.
It was the old Yogi Toes, which was next to the Now. But yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then they moved across the street. But yeah, and he was doing some consulting work. His really good friend owns the place. So we met at a party very organically by the popcorn machine.
As you do.
Yeah. That's where most love stories begin.
Yeah,
but how interesting that it was all kind of connected. You doing research, in your science background, but then also kind of using it as you were starting your moon circles. What did you learn? Like, what was the feedback like, and what did it start as, and how did it improve and evolve?
Well, it was really clear that people wanted this information. And I think like I started learning astrology. I was like 16. I was sort of like...
Are you from LA?
No, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Where?
Yeah, outside of Philadelphia.
Me too.
Really?
Bucks County?
Wow, Montgomery.
Cool.
Montgomery.
That's so cool.
It's a fan
Montgomery
favorite.
County. I actually started learning astrology.
I was like, how'd you learn astrology there?
Yeah.
I was like, you have to be from
It's
LA.
a normal place, Krista.
Well, no, and in Ohio, you wouldn't learn astrology as
I'm joking. No, you definitely wouldn't.
It's normal, so you wouldn't learn it.
There's actually this like crystal hippie shop, new age shop, in Skipback. Skipback, and I would go in there all the time. And the woman decided to like mentor me and teach me, and that's where I bought like my first book, my first astrology book. It's where I learned medicine cards. It was like very sort of old school. This was pre-internet, so this was like 1996.
Like, were you always kind of a free spirit?
Yeah.
Like,
what were your parents thinking when you were into this?
My mother didn't know what to think. I mean, I was literally listening to the Grateful Dead, playing with the crystals, and doing astrology charts like my entire, teenagehood.
Were you doing it by yourself, or did your friends do it?
My friends were into it. I had one friend who was like really into it, and we would do charts together.
Cool.
I also went to an alternative school called Upatinas, which was like very progressive. They taught like metaphysics and mysticism, and they were like really into kind of all this stuff. So there was an encouragement, and my mother definitely like encouraged me just to explore and like learn things. But when it was time to go to college, she was like, "Okay, let's get serious."
Like, put your rocks away, honey.
Did you resist like kind of being pushed into like academia or?
Not too much, because I fell in love with psychology, which was very along the lines of everything else I was into. I was just really into consciousness. Yeah. So any way that I could study like consciousness and then energy was sort of my fascination. And that has been like the seed that, I came in this world with that has kind of manifested everything that's happened in my life. It's just like I'm obsessed with figuring out, why we think the way we do, and like, our consciousness and our energy, and like what that means that we're energetic beings among other energetic beings, but interacting with a material world. So like, how does that all kind of play into things? And, things like crystals, astrology, psychology, they all fall under that realm somehow. Yoga, Chinese medicine. I basically just like to learn stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're here. Really quickly before we like dive into the astrology stuff for Dreamcatchers, what's like the history behind Dreamcatchers and like the meaning and importance and significance of them?
Dreamcatchers are a Native American tradition. So that's where they originally started. Although I did get mine from Bali. She like adopted the traditions, which that's actually what fascinates me. I'm like, how did I get to Bali?
Yeah.
But, and then she, she's a very spiritual woman.
Yeah.
But basically what it's meant to do is when it hangs over your bed, it catches the energy that's coming in to your room while you're sleeping, and it filters the net acts as a filter. So it catches, like a spider would catch in its web, it catches the energy and then allows the positive energy to come down the strands, which is why they always have like feathers or some kind of strand. So it's like, I almost picture it as like sort of like a slow filter process, slow drip, right? Slow pour coffee.
Yeah.
And it allows like the positive vibes to come down, and it holds the negative energy away from you while you sleep, so it can't affect your dreams or your entire being. And that's why like I think I have a blog somewhere that's like how to cleanse your dream catcher.
I was going to say, do you need to cleanse them?
Yeah, you do need to cleanse them. You want to cleanse that stuff away.
Okay.
So
how do you cleanse it?
Just with sage,
okay,
or Palo Santo, like a smudging herb. Generally, like outside. I like to do it on the full moon. Full moons are very, very cleansing. We can get more into that. A lot of people say like charge your stuff under a full moon. You're actually cleansing like your crystals when you put it under a full moon. The full moon's light is very cleansing. So if you really want to get into it, you take your dream catcher outside underneath the full moon. And, you put, light some Palo Santo or some sage and sort of waft it around, and then get yourself too, because sometimes the energy can like come onto you when you're doing it. So I do I'll take this black salt that I have that absorbs negative energy. It's made from tourmaline, and kind of put it on the ground underneath. So it helps like provide a little bit of a grounding while you're cleaning it.
And then do you pick that salt back up, or is it done?
I just swipe it away.
Where do you get that salt?
Spiritdaughter.com.
Plug yourself.
Yeah, I was like, add it to the cart.
No, I got it from this woman. I met her at I think at Urban Outfitters, like
I love
like one of these like holiday bazaars or something. And it's so hard to find her on Instagram.
Wow.
Like I think I like found her once. Katie has her contact. So but yeah, I bought like a ton of this black salt. So
that's amazing.
So talk to us about the full moon. I guess that's maybe where we can start and then dive in.
Yeah, like what does the full moon mean? What is the importance of the full moon?
Well, the whole lunar cycle is, really important. And each phase like has its own qualities. And it kind of works in like comparing them. So maybe I'll do a little comparison. The full moon is the peak of the lunar cycle. So it's the top, it's the highlight in a lot of ways. It's the middle point. It's the time when like all the energy is building up to sort of like a climactic moment. And then after the full moon, it starts waning away, which is the phase we're in now, back to new. But the full moon has always been a time to go out and socialize and be with community. It's a sharing time. And it's simply sort of, it takes on that energy because it's, back in the days before electricity, it's like that's how things were lit. The night was lit by the full moon. During a full moon, it's the only time that the moon is like in the sky the entire night, because when the sun sets, the moon rises, and then vice versa. So you have moonlight all night long. So it's really a time to connect with other people and share and exchange an energy that you've been working on. So we plant intentions on the new moon, and we kind of start developing a new version of ourselves. And then the full moon is the time to like go out and show that version to the world. It's a time to integrate that new energy into your being. And then with that integration, you release and let go of the things that are no longer serving you. And I always tell people, so we have a lot of extra energy on the full moon. The full moon gives us energy. And it's kind of funny because there's like all these studies that like ERs are more full on a full moon. And there's like all these kind of like studies in psychology that like, people go crazy, quote unquote, under the full moon. It's sort of like where the phrase lunatic came from, Luna, meaning the moon. So the full moon definitely has this history of affecting us with its energy. It's a very energized time. Most people wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning on the full moon and they're like, why am I wide awake? And, with this extra energy, we can bring ourselves and our energy more into alignment. We can kind of do the hard stuff, right? And that's what I always tell people. It's like if we're starting the cycle on the new moon and you're planning your intentions and you're dreaming, by the time you get to the full moon, that's when the obstacles have shown up. That's when you're like, oh man, I really want to do this, but this thing is in my way now. And the full moon is the time to harness that extra energy and basically break through barriers externally and internally. And with that comes release. And with that comes integration of your new person, which you can then share to the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. After the full moon.
Yeah.
Is when you break through.
Well, yeah, it's during the full moon. And then the full moon sort of marks this period of release. So from the full moon to the next new moon, which is the period we're in now, and the moon is waning, that's when you're releasing. That's when you're letting go. That's when you're shedding. You're no longer building inside your energetic body.
Wow.
Why is the energy of the moon so powerful?
The energy of the moon is really powerful. It's close to us.
Okay.
So we can actually feel it. I sort of have a theory, one day maybe I'll go and get a physics degree or something and play around with it, that a lot of this, what we're feeling, experiencing, and calling energy is actually gravity, right? So when the moon is opposing the sun on the full moon, there's actually a gravitational pull between them. On the new moon, they're together, right? They're together in the sky, and then their gravitational pull is actually joined together. So they're pulling on the earth the same way. This is why the moon affects the tides, right? It affects the water through this. So it's affecting us. And that's why I always tell people sort of really break it down, make it simple. If the moon can affect the tides, what is it doing to your body? We're water too. So we're 70% water or something like that. So, how is it affecting you?
Right.
So it's sort of sending this energy and this, gravitational pull kind of through its light. This is all coming. We're all seeing it from light. I mean, it's happening from the actual astrological body, but we're seeing it as light. And then as it moves through the zodiac signs, it's taking on their light energy, and it's kind of flavoring the moon's qualities with the zodiac, which is sort of what the books are about. Oh, it is what the books are about.
So the moon has that much of an effect, but we don't ever talk about the sun having an effect, right?
We do. Oh, yeah, we do. The sun has a huge effect, and that's what. Yeah, and that's what the sun season is. Okay, so, right now we're in Pisces, so we are all affected by the sun. The sun doesn't have phases though, like the moon. So. It's a little
center.
Yeah. So it's just in the center, and it's much more predictable. It rises around the same time. It sets around the same time. We kind of know what's going on with it. The moon is like a mystery because it's oh, wow, she's up at 3 a.m. Oh, there she is at noon, in broad daylight. So it's much more complicated. The moon is, takes on much more feminine qualities, which are sort of intuition, emotion, things that can't be measured as much as hours of daylight,
Yes. Okay, that makes total sense.
But yeah, we talk about the sun in the sun season. So, that's a big part. That's a big part of what I weave into the new moon workbook is what does it mean that the sun is in the same sign as the moon on the new moon and has been in the same sign for the last 30 days. So and that's the thing, the sun, we almost all know, a lot of us probably in this arena kind of know when the sun is in a certain zodiac, we're in Pisces, we may have to check. But you almost never know where the moon is unless you have an app or, follow my Instagram account.
So is it here's the sun
Do it.
and then we're rotating around the sun, and as we rotate, we're going through the chart. So is the astrological chart like a clock? And we're going through, so we go through the sun, it takes a year.
It takes a year.
And then there's each of the seasons is in a space. So right now, comparative to the rotation around the earth, We are in Pisces, which is one of the... Okay.
Right. So from our vantage point, if we...
And then the moon does what?
And the moon still rotates.
And the moon does the same. So the moon goes around us. But it still is the same from our vantage point, where it looks like, because I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it seems from our vantage point on Earth that we're the ones staying still and everything is like moving around us. So while we're moving around the sun and the moon is moving around us, we can actually watch the moon. It takes about 2.5 days for the moon to go through a zodiac. So 2.5 days in Pisces, 2.5 days in Aries, 2.5 days in Taurus. Okay. So it's much more rapid. It completes the cycle in 29.5 days. Okay. Right. So it goes as it's going around us, that's when we see the phases. Right. So if you can imagine, I almost need like a diagram or something. Like if we're in the center, if the Earth is in the center and the sun is, we'll just say for our purposes, to the right of us, and the moon is to the left, then that's a full moon, right? Because we can see the entire sunlight lighting up the moon. Right? So from us on Earth, if we look at the moon, it's totally lit. That's
we're not blocking it?
No, we're not. No, the only time we block it is during an eclipse. Okay. So, and that's what, that's when we see the red eclipse, the lunar eclipse. Right. So, and then if it's, as the moon moves around, right? So say it's now at like 90 degrees, right? Then it's a half moon. Right. Okay. So, and that's what they mean by when you say quarter, right? So first quarter, right? So we'll start with make it easy. We'll start with the new moon. So the new moon, the sun and the moon are together on one side of the Earth. So they're all on the right side. Okay. And for anybody listening, just draw it out.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, sun, moon together.
Yeah. And then so during a new moon, we can't see the moon. It's dark.
Okay.
Right. It's even if we could see it, it's totally dark. It rises and sets with the sun. There's no light on it, right? Yeah. It's there. It's actually bright on the other side, but that's a whole nother story. Cool. It makes its way halfway or a quarter of the way. So the first quarter in its cycle. And then that is the half moon or first quarter moon. Okay. And then it makes it to the full moon and then it makes it to the last quarter. But it does all this in about 30 days, 29.5 days. Okay. And when it does this, it goes from new moon to first quarter to full moon to last quarter. It travels through all the zodiacs. Okay. As it does that. So, and then the sun is just sitting in the same spot in Pisces going, okay, I'm waiting for you. I'll see you when you get back here. And then the sun moves to Aries and the moon does her whole cycle. And the sun goes, okay, I'll see you when you get back.
So that's the rising in the moon then. So your sun rising is the time where you were born, and that's just on the larger zodiac grid if we were looking at it comparative to the sun. So it's like, here's the Earth. I'm in Pisces. So it's like I was born at this time when we were at this point on the chart relative to the sun. That's my sun sign, correct?
Right. Exactly.
And then your moon sign. So that was where the moon was in rotation.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you say, like, I'll use mine. I'm a Leo, right? So the sun was in Leo. It was waiting for the moon to come back. The moon was actually in Scorpio when I was born, which is a 90-degree angle to the sun, which has been problematic, but that's another story.
I'm Scorpio moon too.
Really? It's a hard one.
Imagine it with Pisces. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
We're tornadoes.
That's actually a little bit more of a beneficial one.
Really?
Yeah,
than Leo?
Water.
Totally.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, so for you, they were actually at about 120-degree angle. So that's like the aspects when you hear people talk about trines, squares. They're talking about the angle of planets, and in this case, the moon and the sun to each other. So the moon was trining the sun when you were born. It was at about 120 degrees.
Let's keep me as an example the whole time.
I'd have to look at your chart, but if
you're wondering on Virgo, Gemini moon.
But if you can picture that wheel, the moon was 120 degrees.
So there's trine, square, sextile, which is next to?
Yeah, sextile. Conjunct is directly nextile. Nextile. Next. I made up a new one.
Jill, don't look this up.
Jill's drunk on mushrooms.
It's too many reishi.
We're sleeping.
Conjunct basically means it's like right next to.
Okay.
So during a new moon, the moon is conjunct with the sun.
Got it.
They're like at the same degree.
Got it.
So the zodiac is each piece of the pie. You can think of it as a pie.
Yep.
12 pieces of the pie. They're each 30 degrees.
Okay.
So like that's when, somebody will say the moon is
12
full.
times 3 is 360. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say like the moon is at 11 degrees Libra. For instance, that means that the moon was actually at the 11th degree in Libra at that moment.
So on its way out.
Almost to the middle. So like 15 would be the middle. So it's 30 degrees. It works.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Olivine Atelier. You can go to www.shopolivine.com for a beautiful, beautiful collection of scents, hair mist, body mist, potions, face toners, sprays, rituals, in fact. You can find it all here. And I'm really, really excited that Julie started Olivine Atelier for women. It's for that like divine goddess in you. I'm going to tell you some of my favorite products. I love the Good Witch perfume. It has essential oils all aimed at grounding and opening the heart chakra, which I need to keep open after my Reiki session. It has flower essences for spiritual protection and self-love, 100% pure essential oils in an organic sugar cane alcohol base. Now, we care about what goes in, on, and around our bodies. This is just in line with what we believe and what we are incorporating into our lives. And also my second fave, Love and Salt Spray. This is a cult favorite among hairstylists and celebrities all over the world. It's cruelty-free, vegan, and phthalate-free, amazing beach scent. It, like if you close your eyes and picture yourself in paradise, that's what it smells like. It's divine. You could spray it in your hair for like that beachy look, which is my MO. So I am obsessed with this. So go to shopolivine.com, shopolivine.com. You can use our code almost30, ALMOST30 for 20% off. Y'all, you have to get this. 20% off. That's such a deal. Their Love and Roses Beauty Mist, which I love as a little toner to wake myself up, really freshen up, starts at $16. The salt and the Love and Salt Spray starts at $14. I got the big one because I use it all the time. It's amazing. So check out shopolivine.com. Use our code almost30 for 20% off. This episode is also brought to you by
BioClarity. So as a blogger, I'm a blogger, 100blog.com. I get tons of stuff sent to me. It's not as cool as it sounds, but I do get a bunch of face wash products and beauty products sent to me, and I'll try some of them, and I've been trying some for the past couple months. My skin has not been looking so good. So of course I had to bring it back to BioClarity. I always keep it in my rotation, but I need to be consistent about it. And I've been using BioClarity for the past couple months, and it really does make your skin super clear, super even, and just unbothered.
I felt like using other products that had harsher chemicals, I was killing the acne, and it was actually agitating my skin and making it break out more.
Yeah, it's like the gentler, the better.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's great. It's an easy 3-step process, plus an amazing moisturizer, which I love.
The Floralux.
And the Floralux, yeah. The 3-step process, the Floralux is a part. So it's the cleanse, the treat, and then the restore. And then they have this new moisturizer. So try it out. Honestly, guys, you cannot say no to this deal. You can use our code almost30, and you get your first month for $9.95 plus free shipping. Go to bioclarity.com, use our code almost30 for your first month for $9.95 plus free shipping. Why are the other planets important? Just because they also have a gravitational pull? How does that affect
Like Mercury, like Mercury, Jupiter.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about Jupiter this week. I just wrote a blog article on Jupiter going into retrograde. And one of the reasons why I wrote it was that like Jupiter's huge.
I know.
A big old dude.
And if the moon can affect us, like what is Jupiter doing?
Totally.
I mean, that thing is massive. It has so much gravity. It's like collecting moons,
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
really?
Yeah, like sucks them in all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
damn, that's so crazy.
It's a massive planet. So yeah, of course it has an effect on us. And like Venus, I mean, they all do, but like Venus and Mercury, like they're close, they're really close. And Mercury is like probably one of my favorite planets because it just reminds me of like this, it moves so quick, and it's so fast. It moves around the sun so quickly and it's always going backwards. Mercury's, retrograde doesn't actually mean the planet's going backwards. We'll just clarify that right now. But it seems like...
Wouldn't that be cool?
Right? Just like... But when you look at like Mercury's movements, it's just like, like this...
Yeah.
Like a little roadrunner or something. So.
What about Venus? Venus is cute.
Venus is cute. Venus is, like love and beauty and relationships. And she's also our sister planet. That's Earth's sister planet. And so, like Venus in your chart, for instance, that's kind of like where we see your love, a lot of your relationships, your heart's joy, so to speak. And that can, Venus can affect you. And Venus moves fairly quickly. She just moved into Aries. So all these planets move through the zodiac and then they all mean something different. And they mean something for the collective. And that's sort of what I talk about when I talk about astrology and in the books. And this is the question I get all the time. People will be like, which book do I buy? And I'm like, the one that's up there, because that's the
most recent.
Yeah, that's the one that is about the collective energy. So I write about the collective energy. So right now we are all undergoing the sun in Pisces. We are all affected by the fact that the sun is in Pisces, no matter what your sun sign is, no matter what your moon sign is. When the new moon is in Pisces, which is next Saturday, we will all feel that energy of the new moon, that phase being in Pisces. No matter, if your moon is in Scorpio or your moon is in Leo, like you will feel that. Now, will you feel it differently depending on your moon? Yes, you will, because there will be that interaction that will take place from like what is sort of like in your energy, your energetic signature, so to speak, and how that interacts. But, sort of a generalized form, it's about the collective. And then your personal chart is about what was happening at the moment you were born. And then that's what forms your individual energetic signature, which is, beautiful art in itself, is, chart reading and understanding that.
Could you have your what's happening in your chart when you were born happen again in your lifetime?
No.
Okay.
Not exactly. I think they're like snowflakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It probably will happen again, but not in your lifetime.
Okay.
Because the planets all move at different paces.
Yeah.
So in some of them, it take a really long time to transit the zodiac. So it's just you're just not going to see it.
Everyone's a snowflake.
Everybody's a snowflake.
Each one of you is a damn snowflake.
Everybody's a snowflake. You can have pieces that, will be replicated through,
right.
Could you have like your moon and your rising?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm Pisces. So then when I go
rising sign?
Scorpio, or my moon Scorpio. Sorry, I don't know my rising. I just looked it up actually.
I actually did too. I'm Libra rising.
Yeah. So you can have you could take your sun is Pisces and your moon is Scorpio. So yeah, that combination is going to happen again. It's going to happen, once a year for about a couple days.
Oh.
So,
what's rising mean again?
Your rising was the sign that was rising in the horizon when you were born.
Rising in the horizon.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful.
I know.
Have you ever thought about I'm sure people have, but have you ever taken the time to kind of do a little self-study on bigger picture, historical events that have happened, and if there's any correlation between what's going on astrologically and then also maybe personally?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just wrote an amazing foreword for Ali Michelle and her poetry book. I'll plug her. She's amazing.
Cool.
And
what's the book called?
It is called Explorations of a Cosmic Soul.
Love it.
And I hope I got that right.
But I wrote the 4.
Yeah, I wrote the 4. But I wrote it all about the unfolding that's been happening pretty much since the solar eclipse which was in Leo in August. That was like that big event. I'm getting chills. I get chills every time I talk about it. And just watching the things that have happened and unfolded, particularly in the women's movement since then, and what's been happening with, I don't want to say feminist, because I feel like that's not the right term, but really what's happening with the feminine energy. I guess that's the better way to put it. And that's what I talk about, is just sort of how that was a catalyst. Just give you a brief intro. That solar eclipse basically happened on a fixed star called Regulus, and it had transitioned. The star was the heart of the lion, and still is, in the Leo constellation. And it actually moved into Virgo, because the way, it's very complicated, but the way astrology is...
Like, slow it down, Jill.
They actually...
I need pictures.
We'll do a diagram.
We should have a whiteboard with a marker.
Literally.
We'll just
I need like little figurines.
I know.
We'll just state it like this. The heart of the lion moved into the goddess in 2011.
And it's a star.
It's a star.
Okay.
And that was the star where that solar eclipse took place. The solar eclipse basically lined up like where the, actual eclipse was. It lined up, directly with the star. And so basically what that signified was this changing of the guards, so to speak, where we're moving from, king to queen, god to goddess.
Wow.
So, and we're seeing that shift, that rise of the feminine energy in everybody, men and women, because we have both, which I try and tell people, it's not like women are taking over. I mean, they are, but.
We talk about that a lot, though.
Yeah. And, we see it. And then, we saw the unfolding, really start to happen with the Me Too movement, which happened like the exact week that Jupiter entered Scorpio, which Jupiter is sort of the planet of expansion. So it's expanding us and allowing us to share things. And Scorpio is kind of like the underground and the hidden stuff. So when Jupiter hits Scorpio, we have a whole bunch of people sharing their hidden secrets.
Wow.
And, Scorpio is definitely related to sexual energy. So we have, people sharing and expanding upon sort of their hidden secrets around sexual energy. And then lo and behold, we have the Me Too movement. So, and it's sort of like when you look at it, it's just like, was that a coincidence? What caused what?
To
all you skeptics, that's crazy.
Whoa. So what's coming to 2018?
Well, we're still seeing some stuff. We have there's a really interesting thing happening next week on the new moon, which is Mars is moving into Capricorn. And, that's interesting in itself, but it's moving into Capricorn out of bounds. And basically, again, to kind of like not get too technical, out of bounds basically just means it's not its normal pattern. So, and when a planet goes out of bounds, Mars is masculine. So Mars is the, opposing energy to Venus. All right. So it's very, very masculine energy, very action oriented, with that passion, the warring spirit is all there. And when planets go out of bounds, it's almost like they kind of, go crazy for a little while and like figure themselves out, a teenager going off and exploring the world or something, studying abroad for a while.
It's like going to a music festival.
It's like going to a music festival.
Just figure it out.
Exactly. So Mars is like, going to Coachella and like letting loose for a while and then coming back. And, I'm actually going to write a blog this week.
What if it just
on
left?
What
if it was like, peace, I'm done.
I'm done.
Done with this galaxy.
But I think we may actually see sort of, the reflection in the masculine energy and the response to this rise of the feminine, which is going to be like sort of,
scary.
Is scary, but, kind of like like the reconfiguring the energy, rebalancing, like men are, and masculine energy are sort of figuring out what they need to do to help shift, to help balance this feminine energy. Because I think it's pretty clear that the world needs some feminine energy to nourish it and bring it back to health. That's what it does. And that's not to say that one day we won't be sitting here in, other forms going, we really need the masculine energy to come in and rebalance the feminine energy. It's gotten out of hand. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just a balance. There's really no right or wrong, good or bad. It's just like bringing it back into balance. And so sort of Mars going out of balance, I think is going to usher in sort of the masculine energy going, okay, well, like what can we do? Like how can we help bring this into balance? What is our answer to the Me Too movement? What are we doing here? What's our place in this world now? And so, we'll see how that unfolds. And then we also have an interesting shift coming up with Uranus, or however you want to say it.
I was always wondering.
Uranus is going to move from Aries to Taurus in May, which will be a very interesting shift because Aries is ruled by Mars, right? And so Aries holds that same like warring spirit. It's that energy of action. It's that, okay, I'm going to go out and do it and think later. Not that Aries don't think, but like there is just this like motivation, like charge. And Taurus is a very feminine sign. That is the sign of the home and the earth and like fertile energy and art and beauty and grounding and stability. So it's, it's very, very different. And it's illuminating, again, masculine, feminine energy. And then we have this planet shifting signs, and Uranus is about change. It's about social change, forward motion, progressive thinking. It traditionally rules Aquarius, which is, Aquarius age, like activism, like let's move society forward. Let's build computer systems and amazing technology. That's under the realm of Aquarius and Uranus. And so when this planet moves from Aries to Taurus, that energy of forward movement is going to be moving from this sort of male dominated sign to, this feminine dominated sign. So that is going to be very interesting as well. And we may actually see, it'll be interesting because Aries is so much about the self. We may see people kind of getting out of the age of the selfie, really, kind of like looking more at the bigger picture, which is like very feminine energy. It's when you think
serving,
of like
nurturing,
when you think of masculine energy, it's like it's not that it's tunnel vision, but it's just like it evolved in a time when they were out hunting, and they had to be completely focused. Like men had to be so focused on like not getting eaten by the lion or the tiger, and then they catch the gazelle to bring back to the, family. And that's why, traditionally women are better at multitasking than men because like we were back, with the family, like watching the kids, picking the berries. Like these are the genes we're walking around with. Still, this was 99% of human history that we were hunters and gatherers. We're still walking around with this energetic dynamic. I got fascinated by evolution when I was studying psychology, and I was just like, oh, okay, I understand now. I get it all. So when we have a sign like Aries that's very masculine, it is sort of that tunnel vision where you're focused on yourself and you're surviving in a lot of ways. And what's going on with you, it's the first house. It's where everybody's rising sign is. So, if your rising sign, did we figure your rising sign out?
No, I can't read it.
Oh.
There's too many like septic things.
I'm Virgo, Libra rising.
Okay. So were you on the cusp or something? Or are you right there on the cusp?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And we'll just go with, Virgo, for instance, that's going to dominate your first house. So that's the house of the self. That's Aries house. So we're taking this planet of change and moving it from the house of the self to this house of nurture, basically. So it's sort of like, I expect a shift of people, like, instead of just looking at themselves, looking at the rest of their community, not even really the world, but like their community. I think we're going to become much more community driven over the next 8 years.
So we're trying.
Leo rising.
Leo rising. So that's your first house is Leo. We're very connected.
Leo risings cannot help but be noticed.
Yes, that's kind of true. Your rising,
for better for worse.
Well, and when you have a lot of water like you do, that can actually be a little tricky because like your rising is what you present to the world.
Okay, yeah. What's the difference between the three?
So your rising is what you present to the world. I like to call it like your mask, but not in like a derogatory sense. It's like the mask that you wear. It's like when you put on your favorite lipstick and you go out and you want to be seen that way. And this is what your energy came into this world wanting to project to bring in the things that you needed. Wow. I kind of like think your whole chart is for evolution. So like I pair, the evolution of our energy with the chart. So like we came into this world with this certain chart to help us on our path of evolving our energy, because energy, that's like good one. You can't destroy it. It's around like the energy in our body, which we're definitely energetic beings. I mean, our neurons fire through an energetic impulse. We conduct electricity. I'm conducting electricity right now as I'm speaking. Of course, I have an energetic field. Any electrician, my father's an electrician. Any electrician will tell you that's true. We don't even need to bring in the physicist. So it's like we have this energy in our body and it's on a path of evolution. And that's basically the premise behind everything I do is like, okay, how am I going to help my energy evolve? How am I going to help my mission? How am I going to help my soul? And your chart, which is your energetic signature, is there to help your energy evolve. And the piece of that, one piece, is your rising sign, right? Which is the energy that your energy chose to have as your mask to attract the things from the external world into you. So yours is Leo rising, which means you're on a mission to be noticed in a lot of ways, but you're also on a mission to lead. So you project the energy of leadership when you walk into a room, and extroversion. I'm sure probably I could gather like 10 of your closest friends and they'd be like, oh yeah, she, people know when she walks in a room, like people know, and I can kind of tell just from your presence and the way you hold yourself that that's what you're putting out there. And of course that's true. And that's a huge piece of your personality. But there's other pieces of your personality, like your moon in Scorpio, which wants to hide. Scorpio moons want to hide. We just want to, and I can speak from experience. We just want to, like I told you when we first sat down, like wall me into my home and let me write all day, let me dive into the deepest transformational experiences I could possibly go through. And, in a cave, like that's a moon in Scorpio. And your moon is, your moon a lot of times is your soul. It's your heart. It's what makes you happy. So if people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm depressed or I'm feeling anxious, it's like, okay, where's your moon? What's going on with your moon? Because that's sort of how we kind of figure that out. Like, what does your moon need? Your moon is not based in logic. It's based on raw emotion. So it's like when you see that kid like throwing a tantrum in the middle of the street or something, that's a moon quality. That's not logic.
Lunar,
you're not gonna like be able to talk logic to that kid, and that's how your moon is. And it's logic is under the sun's domain, and it doesn't mean that like lunar beings or whatever don't have any logic. It just means you're ruled by your feeling. These are your feelings. These are your emotions. These are your needs. I always talk about your reigning need. What does your moon need to feel balanced and happy? Because if your moon doesn't feel balanced and happy, you're not going to feel balanced and happy. It's just, it's just the way it is. And sometimes it takes people like so long to figure this out. And it's really simple. And, it's funny because I think back to my psychology degrees and, there's like a little voice that like, okay, where's your research proof and all this stuff? And it's like, the proof is in the pudding. Like, let's talk about your moon. What do you need? And I could probably like list a couple things that your moon needs and you'll sit there and go, oh yeah, you know what? If I do that, I'm a lot happier in life. So, it's really interesting that these things like, they prove themselves, which is, utterly fascinating that the science was developed so long ago and it's still holding true now. And then you have your sun sign. So your sun is like your core of your personality, right? So that's kind of what stays put, and everything else moves around it. And that sort of just tells you like how you think, who you are. Your sun's in Pisces, yeah. So your sun's in Pisces. So that's always a fun one. It's like the core of your personality actually just wants to kind of like heal and go with the flow. While your Leo rising is like, look at me, and your moon and Scorpio is like, I need some space.
We're all crazy. That's the only through line.
So how would people like harness the power
of knowing
the moon, the sun? Yeah, like in a simple way, I guess. So it's digestible. I know
like,
you give a lot of great.
Like, dial it back, Jill.
No, this is all
no.
It's crazy.
We go deep. I'm just thinking like I love hearing you on your Insta stories. Like it really kind of breaks things down, and I'm able to digest like day by day or every other day, you know, kind of what's going on. But I guess how can they think about the moon? How could they think about the sun, depending on what it is at the time or when they were born, and how they could, I guess, become more conscious because of that reasoning?
Yeah. I mean, I like to think of things in terms of questions, because I find that when I ask people questions, that's when they figure out the answer. And the answer usually is within the question. And so that's what I do like on the Astro talks every day, is like I give the information and then like I ask a question, so that it's like, okay, think about this. Like I want you to think about that, because that's really what we're doing here, is we're answering questions. We're answering questions of like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why was I born with a sun in Pisces? Okay, my energy wants to figure this part out. So it's like, and that's what I tell people to how to like kind of integrate them. Like your rising sign is, how do you want to be seen by the world? So like what makes you feel seen, you know? So that's like a big piece, and that's how you can start to figure it out. So, like your rising is Leo. So how do you want to be seen by the world? You know, and how does it feel to you when you're seen by those qualities of Leo? Like how does it feel to be seen as like an extrovert and a leader? Like, does that align with you? And then you also can think about like, okay, well, if that's what my energy wants, how can I do that more? So how can I be seen as a leader more by the external world? Right? So it's like, how does it feel? And then it's like, okay, how can I bring more of that into my life? Okay, my moon's in Scorpio. Scorpio, transformation. Moon is emotion. Moon and Scorpios love transformational growth. They feed off of it, right? So what makes you feel like you're transforming? What makes you feel like you're growing on a personal level? Is it meditation? Is it yoga? Is it, taking drugs and dancing in the desert? Like, you know what I mean? And
sometimes it's a good haircut.
Sometimes it's a good haircut. Exactly. Sometimes it's a good haircut, because that's like a transformation. And it's like, okay, how can I bring more of that energy into my life? This is what, I need. This is what my moon needs. How can I bring more of that into my life? Where's your sun?
My sun is in Virgo.
Your sun's in Virgo. So your sun's in Virgo. So the core of your personality likes healing, likes detail, likes, clean, open spaces, which we're sitting in.
Wide open spaces.
Organization. So it's like how, the first question is like, how do you feel? Because we always want to check.
That's definitely how I would love the world to see me as. And I love when I do it. It feels good, but there's definitely a part of me that is a little messy.
Yeah.
And
yeah. What's the moon?
The moon is Gemini.
Okay. All right.
Is that why?
Yeah. Probably not. I mean, Gemini's not that. I mean, Gemini's a little chaotic because it's ruled by
But you're just
Mercury.
like not like
Maybe
that
that's
in like a Nazi way.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Maybe I'm just not clean or like organized in a Nazi way. I'm just more like
You are, but it's not like...
I appreciate it when I do it, but if I don't do it, I'm not freaking out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know where your Saturn is.
Why?
I could tell you in a
second. What would that?
Because Saturn's rules your responsibility
and
like what you feel like responsible to in life. So again, it's
check out Saturn to see what your responsibility.
Sagittarius.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's why.
So then you
tell me.
So then you can look at like your chart and see like, so for example, her Saturn is in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
For what?
So Sagittarius is the explorer, the
so you apply the traits to that
expansion. Yeah, exactly. And so you actually feel responsible. Sagittarius also is truth and knowledge, but you feel responsible for communicating because of your moon, truth and knowledge to people. Cool. But the flip side is like Sagittarius is not the most organized sign. Because it's always gathering new experiences. If you're out there traveling the world and gathering experiences, like it's hard to keep them like Virgo organized.
Totally.
So that's that like sort of a little bit messier of a part because there is something in you that says, okay, I'm responsible for gathering new experiences and everything I can get my hands on, and maybe I have to let go of the need to keep everything completely organized.
Right.
But there's still going to be that core trait. And you know that you feel good when things are organized. So it's like, okay, and when you look at something like that, it's like, okay, well, how can we put these together? Like you like to gather truth and knowledge. Well, how can we keep that truth and knowledge, you gathering it and that Saturn happy, but then also like provide some organization in there, maybe through a podcast.
That's what we do.
What are your thoughts on Pluto? Planet?
I think Pluto's a planet.
Planet?
Definitely. Pluto's a really cool planet too. We cannot get rid of Pluto.
Yeah.
Like, it's just awesome.
What about Planet X? Was that Planet X? Remember that? Or was that just a moon?
Yeah. I don't know what that was. It was like a moon of Pluto or something. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't really.
Why is Pluto so cool?
Pluto is the
we love Pluto.
Yeah, it's the planet of transformation and like deep spiritual growth. It's a ruling planet of Scorpio, Pluto, and Mars. So it's like that deep transformation, like just getting down to the muck of your soul and digging it out and dealing with it.
Love that. That's why, because it takes so long too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like
so that's like one of those planets that's like not going to come around again in your lifetime.
Really?
So.
That's freaky.
Yeah. What's the one planet that like only comes around every 33,000 years, like Namibia or something?
Where's that?
It like, that was in Black Panther. LOL.
I was like, isn't that a country?
That's actually a movie. Oh my God. Literally, and like they say that like you like can ride it and like become a
Black Panther, cool.
Black Panther.
Yeah. But you can really break down the chart, getting back to that. And that's sort of, what I try and teach people is you just can really like pair these things up. And then it takes a long time. Like, honestly, like it took me until I was, 36 years old to be like, oh, I get my chart. I get what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Does it take just practice, or is there like, so could someone sit down and get their chart read, given suggestions, and then just over time they practice it? Or is it like constant learning about, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure out how I would.
Real quick, this is crazy. In December, 8 planets that are Earth-like were found orbiting a distant star.
Nice.
Crazy.
Let's go take up.
Yeah, literally.
Isn't that crazy? They're Earth-like planets.
Wow.
Look at them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They all look like fucking little Earths.
That's amazing.
It's crazy that there's so much happening with like our galaxy information, but no one's talking about it.
There's so much happening.
Why is that?
And then I think people are finally starting to get ready to talk about it, which I think that's what this huge resurgence of astrology is.
Yeah.
Back when I learned astrology, like nobody was into this. Like, people were not interviewing me because of what I knew, and that's why like I never talked about it because I was the weird one. I was Moon Scorpio, like leave me alone. I'm doing my thing. I've got my crystals.
I am spirit daughter. Leave me alone.
Literally. But I think people are like ready to sort of take this in because we're no longer scared, right? Like,
that's
because it's kind of scary, like, it's kind of like, think about like 1,000 years ago when like an eclipse happened. Like you'd be like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like the moon is red or the moon is blacked out. Like we can't see the sun anymore. Like, like it was scary, and they had to like attribute it to gods and stuff like that, that they had no control over. And I think now with like science and understanding things and feeling like we understand a little bit more about a universe. I mean, we don't have nearly the kind of understanding that we need. But we have like great movies like Interstellar that like talk about wormholes, and we're like, okay, I can wrap my head around a wormhole. I can do that,
What is a wormhole?
It's like a wrinkle in the fabric of space. So basically, this is going to be another diagram thing here. If you take a napkin and you look at like one end of the napkin to the other, it's like this very long line, right? Okay. And so that's like 80,000 light years or something. I don't know. But if you take the napkin and you fold it, and this is the example they do in Interstellar, and you poke a pencil through those holes, you now can do it in an instant, basically, right? So it's it forms. It's actually a black hole. It forms a black hole. And basically what that is it breaks because we go under space and time and the theories we have, but those constructs, they don't apply. We don't know if they apply everywhere, right? So you can have parts of space that like time and space and what we know and those definitions don't apply anymore. Mm-hmm. And so like a black hole is a perfect example of that, where it's just like, 80,000 years, doesn't matter. You can just go through this portal, which would be crazy. Maybe you get stuck in there. Have you guys seen Interstellar? Oh my God,
no,
it's a great movie.
I gotta watch it.
After this conversation, you gotta watch it. It's an amazing movie. Cool. Super cool. Give a little plug to that one. But yeah, so anyway, I think that we're starting to understand and not be scared. We're starting to get information. We're starting to be able to expand our consciousness enough through things like the internet. We're in this like rapid age of acceleration where we're learning so much. I mean, within the same century, they went from learning how to fly to landing on the moon. It's like we are just progressing at like an insanely rapid pace as a culture. Because of that, we're gaining more information to wrap our heads around these things and go, okay, when like, the moon goes dark, like I'm not going to hide and, cry anymore or whatever, or like think that like witches are coming out or something like that. Maybe some of us witches do come out.
Like we sometimes do. Do you believe in aliens?
I do. Yeah.
Same. What are your
definitely. I think it's, I might insult some people who don't believe in them, but I think it's extremely egotistical for us to think we're the only species in this, vast. Like that would be insane. That's insane odds. Mm-hmm. Like that's just like insane amount of odds for us to be the only species, that exist in like all, this entire realm of galaxies and stars. And like you just showed me how many planets that resemble Earth. Like there's probably life there.
Can you believe that? That's probably
Have you had any experience? Have you had any experiences?
So crazy.
I have not. No, I have not had any experiences. And I don't know if like there's aliens like, Hollywood has made them up to be, but I'm sure there's different life forms.
Totally.
Do they have like alien eyes and like spaceship are going to come and like whisk us away? Probably not.
They might just look like us. Maybe better.
Literally.
Yeah. Maybe
Way
it's
better.
like us with like some filters or something.
Yeah, totally. So much Botox.
Me living my best life. Wow, guys.
Yeah. And who knows? We could be living in parallel universes right now. Like the three of us could be existing as like amoebas in like another dimension. They're just like hanging out,
100%.
right now. Like we have no idea. And that's the thing. We don't have any idea. Like our understanding of what's going on is so limited.
Mm-hmm.
And we filter it. Like our brains are constructed to filter all this information out. Because it's so much. There's so much going on.
It's hard to.
And it's hard to like take it all in. Yeah. Like there could be like we have no idea. We could be sitting in this like amazing show of like lights and energy swirling around us, and like we have figured out how to filter it out. So I can have a conversation and focus on you, and make sure the saber-toothed tiger doesn't get me.
Like focus out the auras and like energy fields and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have the capabilities of seeing all that, but our brain, like we would go crazy, if we actually could take in. So our brain has formed filters. And, just with that, we've formed filters on understanding, all this knowledge that comes with astrology, that comes with thinking about far off galaxies. And, I think that we are going through huge consciousness expansion as humans, where we're actually expanding our consciousness to be able to include all these different things and be able to, wrap our head around phases of the moon, or, what these planets are doing, or, why Jupiter retrograde affects us. We're beginning to understand that, and like it really not just understand it from a logical point of view, but be able to feel it and be like, oh, okay, like I am tuned into my energy. I can feel this. I'm not scared of this. Like I can actually like accept it and understand it and work with it, rather than just, in the ancient days, it was like astrology was this thing that like only, the wise men knew. It was like a secret sort of hidden closed door. You had to be like a king or very wealthy or something like that to get access to this knowledge. And now we all have access to it. And we all have access to a lot of knowledge thanks to the internet. And, our consciousness is expanding at rapid rates. So we're ready. We're ready to take it to the next level, basically.
Wow. When Mercury is in retrograde, so a lot of people are like, oh my God, is Mercury in retrograde? Blah, blah, blah. What is the opportunity there for people?
The opportunity is to align your life. And I always tell this people with retrograde, I am never been scared of Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules communication systems. And so that's a big thing. It's like, I lost all my emails, or, technical difficulties on the podcast software because of Mercury retrograde. Oh, don't plan that because it's Mercury retrograde. If it's not perfectly aligned, Mercury retrograde is going to break it, right? So if, your email server isn't aligned, if the code's not perfect, talk to our software engineer guys about it. It's going to break. If the contract isn't clearly drawn and, clearly communicating what it needs to be, then the contract's going to break, or it's not going to work, how we desired it to. And that's a good thing. Like we want perfect alignment. Like if it's not perfectly aligned, like I don't want it in my life, So the opportunity with Mercury retrograde is to go, okay, like if this thing does break down, like how can I make it better? How can I find the alignment? How can I use this as an opportunity to tune in my, equipment better, or to think about my communication, or, maybe I sent an email and it didn't make it through to the person. Well, maybe I need to rewrite that email so that's more aligned with my true desires and what I'm really trying to communicate.
Right.
And then it's going to be better. So it's like that's the opportunity, and it happens all the time. So we get Mercury retrograde a lot. Love that. And it's not actually going backwards; it's an optical illusion.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Where's it going?
It's just like if with Mercury, it's a little different, but it's sort of like, because Mercury moves so fast, it's when the Earth catches up to it. Yeah. So, when you catch up to, like, say you're in a car and there's a horse this is like the classic example, a horse galloping next to you, and it's going faster than you. And then you go to overtake the horse. And there's that moment where you're like, whoa, is the horse going backwards? Or if you're like parked next to a car and like they start moving at a different time, you're like, what is going on? That moment where you're like, oh, and, I always get it on trains where I'm like, what's going on? And trains pass each other. And so that's retrograde.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's an optical illusion. Yeah.
Oh. That says a lot, because a lot of people think it's like worse than it is. And I think,
a lot of Lacey said, she's like, I don't feel Mercury retrogrades because I live in such alignment. We had someone on that said that. She's like, I don't really feel them because I live in such alignment, which I like never forgot.
Yeah. And that's true. So that goes with that alignment principle.
Yeah.
Is that if you're like totally aligned, like Mercury retrograde is not going to affect you. Wow. So it's just going to break what's not aligned.
What is next for Spirit Daughter?
What is next for Spirit Daughter? I'm not sure, actually. We have a couple of things in the works.
Do you have an app?
I was just going to say that. I was like thinking in my head, I'm like, I sometimes don't like to leak energy of new projects before they're ready.
Did it for you.
So I am in talks with somebody about an app right now. that will sort of just give the information, like the moon of the day, what's happening that day, give the question of the day.
That would blow up.
Subscription.
Yeah. I mean,
do the Astro Talks, hopefully through that. Because like Instagram, I love Instagram, but like the 15-second thing drives me nuts. And then somebody just sent me like an app that like cuts it perfectly. And I was like, okay, I'll try this.
I didn't know that.
Continual.
Yeah. Because it's like, I'm always walking and I'm like, I gotta reset.
I know.
Yeah. And then it's like
so
different
annoying.
lighting. And I'm like, I look totally different.
I know.
Next one.
I just don't care.
But yeah, so an app, I have somebody, a friend of my fiance's out in Hawaii working on it. So I'm going to go to Hawaii at the end of April. You'll see me there.
Great.
And that's what I'll be doing.
That is so cool.
That's awesome.
And then on your site, like what could people find on spiritdaughter.com?
Well, they can find the workbooks. Which,
what are the workbooks?
They are, monthly. You can buy them single issue or monthly subscriptions. We have the new moon workbook or the full moon workbook. And they're for both corresponding moons. They're out monthly, and they tell you all about the astrology, and they also give practices and exercises that you can do. Lots of questions, lots of like journal prompts, things to think about. Kind of like work you can do on yourself. There's that. My moon in Scorpio comes out there. And then I also have crystal kits, which people can buy because that was a huge demand. I found I list all the crystals in the book that correspond with the new moon sign. So like Pisces, for instance, all the Pisces crystals. So I now have crystal kits that people can subscribe to. And then I also have a great blog, which I really like. And that's where I kind of like put all that stuff like, what does it mean that Jupiter went in retrograde? What does it mean that Mars is going out of bounds? What do these things mean? What are just rhythms of the moon? Like, what are you talking about, Jill? What are these moon phases? Like, tell me what the lunar cycle is. So there's some like really simple stuff in the blogs and then some sort of more advanced stuff too. It's kind of like a whole array of things.
And then your Dreamcatchers.
And then the Dreamcatchers, which were like sold out of most of them. We have a shipment from Bali coming.
Love that.
In May.
And how has it changed that woman's life?
That is awesome. She is like, it's just amazing. She is now the main breadwinner in her family. She supports her husband and her 2 sons completely. And she also has 5 of her sisters and I think 2 are friends also working for her, helping her to make the Dreamcatchers. And their lives have changed too as well. And that's like a major thing in Bali. It's really interesting because they have so many ceremonies that they do. They have to pay for them. And there's a huge tax basically on them financially. It's very hard for them to get ahead because they're sort of always paying for like tons of stuff. They have like just, ceremony after ceremony after ceremony where they can't work. And then they, also have to like pay for garments and things like that. And so it's actually helped her in a lot of ways because she now doesn't have to worry about paying for the things that she holds dear, which are her spirituality. So it's pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's a really special soul.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
This has been great.
Yeah, this has been insane. So where can our listeners connect with you?
On Spirit Daughter, at Spirit Daughter on Instagram.
How did you grow your following? Was it organic in terms of, or did you team up with different brands?
Butt shots and stuff? Just like you in a bikini, Jill? That's what I'm trying to do?
No, it's been really organic. It started with the Dreamcatchers and then...
You can tell. People are so engaged. I
have really great engagement. I'm really fortunate for the community. I think people just... want an understanding of this. And I do break it down and I do make it really easy for people to understand. I don't get too crazy on it, start talking about wormholes or anything sometimes.
Next post.
Next post, just for you guys.
Wormholes.
But yeah, and it's been really great. And, cool. It grows. And, the workbook has been just picked up by a lot of like influencers and stuff who like post about it and just love it. So and like great. That's organic. And so it's just been a really nice ride.
Love that. I love when you highlight other, people in the community too.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of that. I've been doing that, and that's been great. So it's just been, nice to like give back, and like I get so many photos every month of people tagging the product, and it's awesome. And I just want them to know like that's just amazing. I love to see that product. I mean, this is really the alignment of my chart, basically. Like my chart, if you look at it and you understand it, like the books in some weird way are the perfect alignment of my chart. Yeah. So it's just like, this is just what I'm supposed to be doing. And I did have to accept it at a certain point where I was just like, is this really happening?
Yeah, I'm sure there was resistance.
Totally. We've had a couple of huge growth spurts, one in October, and then we just went through one a couple of weeks ago. And I do sometimes feel like I'm going to like lose my mind, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to hire more people. We just moved to a fulfillment center, and it's just like, okay, we've got to, I need to expand, and there's those lessons and like scalability come in where it's just like, okay, like I need a customer support person. I need a fulfillment center, and I have to remind myself that like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just have to like accept it and ride the wave,
that.
So
cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. This is great. They're going to learn so much.
Killer one. I feel so lucky.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
We're excited for our listeners to connect with you.
They're going to
it's just another resource.
They're going to
eat it up.
They
love all the tools.
Yeah.
Because if they can find something that also
oh my God, your guides are going to be.
Yeah, the guides.
Out the dough. Out the dough with
and they're digital too.
They're digital too. So
and is there print and digital? Cool.
Print and digital. Yeah, we do the both.
I want the print one.
They're so pretty.
I like to write.
I have one for you.
They're great for displays.
That's why I invite.
You know what I mean? Like you can put them on. You know what I mean? Like they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, the graphics are insane too.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, Becca's awesome.
Great job.
She's so good.
You should make a deck too.
Yeah, you're calling me out.
This is what I do. I bring people
We call
on,
Krista like people's managers without her being a manager.
They don't want me to be a manager, and I'm people's managers. I'm like, you should do this with your business. Yeah. They're like, what have you done? I'm like, it's not about me.
Yeah, we are in talk. Becca and I are in talks on a deck.
Oh yes, honey.
Expect that in the next like 6 months or so.
Yeah,
so I have them out. It's like finding the time.
I know.
I just need more time.
Totally. When it's
it will.
Yeah.
When it's meant to happen.
Yeah, totally.
All right, we love you,
guys.
Sis. Thanks so
for
much.
Listening.
All right,
see you next week.
Love ya.
Bye. So
did your
good,
head,
right?
Did your head explode?
Guys, did your head explode? Do you believe in aliens now?
Are you floating in space? She's the coolest.
Yeah, she rocks. So thanks so much for listening. Again, spirit daughter, Jill Wintersteen. We love her, and we're so appreciative that she was able to come on with us. And, DM us or email us if you have any questions that you want us to ask her when we have her on again, because we definitely will. So we're happy to sort of have your questions answered. There was some girls that DM'd me before this interview when I said that we were having someone in the astrology space on, so we were able to get some of their questions answered. So we're happy to do that.
Yeah. And make sure you tag her as well as us. If you, post this on your stories or on your Instagram, we told her that you guys are the bomb.
Yeah,
so we want you to connect with her. So also we just want to thank our sponsors for today, Thrive Market, Unbound, Hum, BioClarity, and Olivine Atelier. We really appreciate you. And listen, we just want you guys to, be able to have access to these brands with a discount. It's always nice to just try new things, see if they work for you. We're never pushing them on you, but we love them, so we figured we'd share. So thank you guys for listening. Subscribe on iTunes, rate and review if you love the show, and share with your friends. Join us at your Facebook group. See, my words are going. We should go. We should go.
We should cut it off.
Yeah,
I would say, and check out the show notes for all the links to our sponsors and discount codes. So you can get tons of rad stuff at a discount. Just check out our show notes.
Great call. That's why we're partners.
You're welcome.
She finishes
I just wanted
my
to put a
sentences.
bow on it.
You put a freaking bow and a button on it.
Put a bow on a button.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.